Since I was a really little girl, I always knew that I was going to end up with a man that embodied what I like to call king energy. I knew that he was going to have to feel like a leader. I knew that he was going to be someone who protected and provided for me. I knew that he was never going to be threatened by the fact that I am an incredibly powerful, strong, intelligent woman. And he was also going to make me feel soft without feeling like I needed to make myself small to make him feel like a man. But I didn't know how to find a man that would do all of those things. I knew that that's what I wanted, but I didn't know what he looked like or what he felt like or how he would show up in the world. So I, like most women, started my journey when I was dating and I was single with vetting for qualifications. And this is super common in the South Asian culture, which is where I come from. I'm Indian, where, you get bio data from the potential partner's family back in the day when it was really common to do arranged marriages. But even now, there's that kind of similar vetting process even in modern dating of like, where do you work? What do you do? Where'd you go to school? What degree do you have? What's your occupation? How much money do you make? All of that jazz. And a lot of the times people like to downplay the fact that these are things that they're vetting for, but you know damn well these are things that you're looking out for. You want to know how much money a guy makes. You want to know what company he works for. You want to know that he meets a certain level of standard of man that is going to make you feel safe and secure. Here's the problem, and I'm going to explain it with context from my own personal experiences of dating. Prior to being with my now wonderful masculine king of a fiance, which you can see pictures of behind me, I was in a relationship for an extremely long time with a man who I did exactly what I mentioned earlier with. I vetted him by looking at his degree. I vetted him by seeing where he went to school. I vetted him by the amount of money that he made. And I also vetted him by the company that he wasn't working at when I met him, but then eventually started to work at a few months into me starting to talk to him, since this is when I was a little bit younger and we had just finished our university. And I thought that that meant he was going to be the man that I desired. And then time and time again, throughout the entire process of us being in a relationship together, he would not show up in a way that I desired. And I could not for the life of me understand exactly what it was that I had missed, because I felt like he had everything right that was going to mean that he was going to be the right partner for me. And something clicked in me through the many trials and tribulations that man put me through, where I realized that I was optimizing for something that wasn't actually going to give me a full picture of his truest essence of who he was as a man. I was optimizing for trying to create a version of him that could be encapsulated in the form of a formula to see if I would get my desired output. It's like I was like optimizing for strategy and logic instead of recognizing that human beings are so much more than just the qualifications that make up, a resume. And him having a certain degree, him having a certain job, him being settled in his career, him being stable, him making good money did not mean that he was going to be a king. It did not mean that he was someone who embodied leadership. It did not mean that he was someone that I felt like was going to be someone I could take along my side to continue to build an empire with me and build a legacy with me and not destroy the legacy that I come from, considering that my family has built one up already. And there came a moment where my entire world came crashing down, which brings me to the takeaways that I had from that entire situation. The truth of the matter is, the only way that you're ever going to be able to vet a man who is your power match is if what you're paying attention to isn't his qualifications, but rather who he is. And the only way that you're going to be able to do that is if what you're using to filter out whether or not he's good for you is his energy. Now, that's a really vague concept. So when I try to explain to you what energy is, think about how energy shows up in people. Someone's energy is put to test in situations that they're put up in. And the only way that you'll be able to read their energy is based on how it comes out in those moments when it's tested. I'll see if I can give you an example. When my fiance and I recently went away for a weekend, we were driving up about 2 hours north from where we both stay, and it was just for a getaway for the two of us to get some private time together because we've really needed to connect. And we're about an hour into the drive, and it's incredibly snowy, and we're driving through like bumpy terrain roads. It's really not safe, and it's like not mid-blizzard, but it's about to get really bad if we stay out driving in the snow for much longer. And I know he's exhausted because he was driving around all day even prior to coming to get me for this trip. And he sees a patient that comes to his family's pharmacy on the side of the road. And he decides to stop because this guy's car is clearly broken down. And he stops, he gets out of the car, he approaches this man, wants to see how he's doing, asks him if he needs any help. Turns out that his car is broken and needs to kind of be started up. I know nothing about cars, so I'm not going to sit here and act like I knew what he was doing. But he's basically standing out in the cold with this guy for like 15 minutes trying to get his car to start by the time that this man's wife arrives with, her own car to take this man home because they weren't able to actually jumpstart the car with the cables that my fiance had in his car. And regardless, even though my fiance wasn't able to help, he stopped over, just made sure this guy was okay, only left when this man's wife had arrived. And I'm sitting in the car the entire time because I'm not getting out because it's freezing. But I'm just there as moral support, and I'm watching and observing the entire situation, not really saying much, just allowing him to show up as who he is in a situation where I get to observe what his character is like. And, he ends up getting in the car. I end up, making sure he's okay, like kind of like warming him up, grabbing his hand because it's freezing outside, and we end up driving off. And when I think back to that situation, what I realized is that was a character opportunity for him to show me who he was. Now, obviously we're engaged, right? So it's like there were many opportunities prior to us getting engaged where I got to actually see what kind of a man he is. And this is exactly where it's super important for a woman to use these opportunities as vetting. Now, a lot of women think that vetting looks like interrogation. It looks like interviewing. It looks like needing to get all of the clarity on what kind of a man he is, literally. But what I'm trying to explicitly show you through this situation is that had I met him and asked him questions about the kind of man he was, every single man on earth is going to claim that they are someone who is a man of integrity and a man of honor and a man of care and love and leadership. But in situations like the one that I just described to you that my fiance was in, and he stopped on the side of the road in like negative 20 degrees Celsius weather to like help a patient who like goes to his family's pharmacy, is literally evidence that he's a man of integrity, that he's a man of like wanting to show up and take care of his community, is a man of showing up for the people that he loves. And even if it's not someone who's like a direct relative or like a direct family member, he feels like it's the right thing to do to lead and care for his people. So essentially what I want you to take away from this video is that vetting is observation for a woman. You shouldn't be vetting men through trying to interview them and interrogate them. In fact, you shouldn't be saying anything at all. The way that you vet a man to see if he's your power match is to let his power come through. It's to observe his power. It's to constantly pay attention to what his power means to him, because power means very different things to different people. It's ultimately about whether or not that power is a match for you and what you want for yourself, considering that you yourself are a really powerful woman. And the only way that you're going to be able to see that happen is if you give a man the space to show up in his power. I really hope this helps you with your dating and your vetting journey. I know that you are a super successful, powerful woman, And so that dating to you has been something that you never really felt like was going to be a problem for you. But consider this video, as well as future videos that you're going to see on my channel, be ways for me to give you subtle pieces of clarity that will help you get one step closer to making sure that the partner you end up with is actually going to be the man that you spend the rest of your life with. Sending you so much love. Mwah. I hope you enjoyed this video. Drop a little comment below. Share with me what you took away. I'd love to hear from you. Love you. Bye.